NerdandSon.
Hello, America. It has been a very troubling time for our country, but I want you and everybody else to know, and also, I guess, anybody that's not from America. I want you all to know that we're here, and we are going to talk about RPGs, because this is the Nerd and Son podcast, and I'm Son, that's Nerd.
There we go. That was so much down energy compared to your one earlier that we had to actually redo. So did not know how to actually respond to that. But yes, hello all. This is podcast. This is our episode number 2. Hey, look at that. We've doubled our episodes.
Wow. Just like you're double my age, as I kept pointing out last episode of how old you are.
You got to do math because you're half my age plus 1.
Oh yeah.
All right.
Well, I'm technically 25 and a half, so you want to get technical about it?
No. You're 26. You're working towards 27. When you get your birthday,
you gotta redo your math there.
No. When you celebrate your birthday and you hit 26, that means you've already celebrated 26 years of life. You're not working on your 26 years. Because like when you're 1, you're not born as 1. You have to wait a whole year to hit 1.
Dad, I'm 25. I'm 25.
Oh, you're so full of it too. Thank you.
I'm 25.
Uh-huh.
I was born in December 26th of 1997. I will be 26 this December. Which means I am 25 and a half. You are 51. I am half your age.
I just hit 50.
Well, I'm 25, so...
You know what? I'm stopping this recording. We're going to do it over.
You're the one. You did this. You did this.
Why the
this
hell?
Is your fault.
So why do I think you're 26? Oh my God. Okay.
Because 2023 and 1997, that equals 26.
I have no idea, but it was all worth it
because the math checks out.
Because it looks like it. Well, it was worth it because you almost spit your drink all over the place, so that actually made it worth it. Okay.
You will get me. You will get me at some point because I'm always doing this, and you will get me.
It won't be the first time, and it won't be the last time.
It won't be the last.
I know. Right. So
absolutely,
that is 100%. Great. Okay. Well, we'll get in here. We've done that. See, we're still working on our introductions or options, everything else like that. So
hey,
we're
you
doing
know what?
good.
We're getting a lot of good practice in today.
Yeah. So you did your unboxing of your playtest book, which is kind of cool. Okay.
Absolutely. I'm so excited. Because I remember seeing that on the shelf, and I was like, I don't need that. I don't have that. I don't have the RPGs.
We weren't recording there. What exactly? I mean, we weren't recording. What was your actually book?
Oh.
Gotta bring it up. Yeah. For everybody. Go ahead.
Everybody listening in on audio, you're missing out on like the one visual gag we ever do. I got the Pathfinder playtest like special edition book. I ordered it because I just love the like deep red leather design of it, and so I got it just to look cool on my shelf.
That's cool.
And so it's going to look cool on my shelf with everything else. So yeah,
which that's understandable.
And once I get the rest of my RPGs,
they're coming. You got most of them.
I know, I do,
okay.
I do. And then I'm gonna literally when you send me more stuff, I will have to get a new shelf because I don't have space.
That's great because
I love that.
Because shipping everything to Hawaii from Ohio is a little expensive.
It's okay, I pay for it. It's my stuff.
Okay, but let's go ahead and let's get going into this topic that we wanted to talk about today. We had a great discussion. We had a great discussion. I know words, great. Last week about dice, history, and everything like that. Did a real deep dive into it, which was cool. Today, we actually wanted to talk about gaming, and specifically one-off games, solo one-off games, versus campaigns. Pros and cons of each one. So, do you have a preference, Connor, which you want to start off with, either the one-offs or the campaign?
We could roll off to see what goes first.
Okay, you got a die handy?
Yeah, actually, because I never put away my dice.
Okay, let's go. One-offs would be odd. Campaign would be even.
All right, let's see what we got.
Okay.
All right, I pulled the my red cyberpunk dice. All right.
Okay.
Here we go. And you're gonna hear it too because it's clunky.
Yes, you're clickety clack math rock.
So odds are one off, evens campaign.
Yes. That one.
17. Starting with one offs.
We're starting off with one offs. Okay. All right. Now, we got in our show notes here a bunch of pointers that I have just written out, just different ideas so we can talk about. First one, I guess we'll just go in order, so why not?
Let's go.
One-offs is a nice way to change things up. And basically, I kind of prefer it because if you have a nice long campaign, it's good to every once in a while do something different. I know as a DM, creating a campaign and week after week growing on that, doing everything for the characters, sometimes it's good just to not do the world building and play a pre-written game. Go into a world which, like me personally, I like Ravenloft. And taking a campaign game for 1, 2, maybe 3 sessions, it depends, go off into like Ravenloft for just a little bit, or something else at that particular point. So that's what I kind of actually like as a solo, just to kind of change things up on that. So what's your opinion?
So my thing with that is, I mean, we're gonna basically bounce around this list here, but I changing things up and absolutely, because when you're running the same thing like session after session, it can get a little stale.
Yes.
And a little old, and you can absolutely get into that DM fatigue of running the same thing over and over again and doing the same prep in and out and without much variety, and that can really take a toll on you. And so it's always nice to have a little variety. Always nice to add some things, and it's great. So it's always good to break up the monotony, even if that monotony is fun and we all enjoy it and we all love our long-standing campaigns. It's always good to bounce it back, get that little refresh.
Yes.
There.
Yeah, because variety is good because you can sit in your off-game topics and start talking about another game or an old classic that you actually played before, something like that. And you know what, as a DM, you can kind of work that into your game as a one-off to do something just a little bit different. So that's nice. So yeah,
absolutely,
kind of like that from time to time. Okay, now next bullet point that I have here is one-off is a nice way to test out new mechanics.
Absolutely.
Different things you're talking about.
Absolutely, because if you want to add something or try your own little homebrew or something, you don't know how the balance is going to be affected in it. It's always good to have a little test run of things so that you don't actually mess up any of your character sheets or anything going on in that game.
Right, yeah, because if you don't add a mechanic, like we were talking into, now this is kind of future talk, idea in our game world that we're designing, a horror mechanic. And I've been looking at a couple of different things. And instead of introducing it and running that, being able to test it out and see how it actually is going to work out first. So that way you can tweak it before you actually introduce it into your ongoing role-playing game. because different things like that could have, I mean, little bits in the mechanics which are off can have a very bad overall stacking effect in your campaign, which you really don't want to have, because it's kind of hard to take that back. Oh, that didn't exist. That was just a dream. Okay, yeah, that doesn't fly too well. Okay, so now, next point that I actually put on the board here is players also get the chance to try out a new class. So instead of just running game mechanics, you can actually have players try out a class they've never done before.
Yep, absolutely.
So,
I have a question for you. When you play, what is your class?
I try to do something different.
Okay, but there's everybody has that like one thing that like is their default, and then you move from that.
My basic default is a front and center warrior, like right in the middle of the fray, and that's what I kind of like. Now, the last character I did play, I kind of changed it up, and I played a halfling rogue to try to things up.
Yeah, but from shaking things up, you have to have a center to shake things up.
Yeah.
Mine personally, I always go sorcerers. I play sorcerers. Not the super studious nerds, but I'll play like the cool guys, the jocks of magic. So
there's a such thing as jocks of magic.
Yeah, they're sorcerers.
Magical jocks. Ooh, look at the way it grows.
Magical jocks.
But yeah, I mean, everybody has kind of their comfort level if you're like going to be right in the melee or you're going to be ranged or whatnot. So, but yeah, I mean, it's the same thing I do when playing a video game. Usually the character I do right off the bat is the front and center warrior, right in the thing, doing the big tank, just taking the beating and everything like that. I just like the fray. Yeah, it's okay, but kind of, I find it more exciting than kind of staying back in the back and seeing everything that's going on than casting a twinkle, twinkle, twinkle.
Yeah. No, so, I absolutely understand, but
But everybody has their preference.
Yeah, exactly. And then, sometimes you just want to try something new,
Yeah. So
and sometimes even trying things out new can solidify why you like that class so much.
Yeah.
Why you like your original choice. So, yeah, absolutely. And one-shots are perfect for that.
Yeah,
so.
Exactly. So, all right. You want to take the next one?
All right. Playing old modules and experiencing the classics, like...
Go ahead.
What do you mean, no? Well, this kind of ties in.
No, we're going right here.
I can't read.
You skipped one.
Yeah,
I can't do math and you can't read, so
well,
I mean,
the next
we're
one
perfect at this.
We're great. So the next one is not worrying about player deaths, and just like that, I'm not going to worry about that line. I'm going to go next. So play old modules and experience the classics. If you want to run Tomb of Horrors, right? You don't want to run that with your regular crew.
No, because they'll die.
If
they'll die,
absolutely, they'll die immediately. I believe, if I recall correctly from what I have heard, the original intention was for you to take a bunch of adventurers, like a bunch of level 0 characters, and go through a dungeon, and they were all designed like that because they were designed to have just a bunch of meat bags get killed. And then through that adventure, through whatever survived, that was your character.
Yeah, no, I don't know. I've heard a whole bunch of different things.
There's so many things.
There's so many different things, and even from the creators and everything of that particular game, of why it was actually created. I think it's just, hey, we have this. This is just going to be fun to do, and we're just going to do it. And I think some of those older modules, so this is a conversation we can have later on, but some of those older modules, the reason that they were like that is because it was a brand new genre. You didn't have multiple decades of playtesting, what characters like, what drives them, how to actually shape a campaign, because that kind of stuff really didn't exist. So you're making a game which is kind of raw without actually having the background knowledge of multiple years of being a DM, 10 years, 15 years, and knowing how to create a good experience without killing people off. So those old games were just very hardcore because of that. That's my belief.
Absolutely.
So, okay.
All right.
Cool. And then that's ways to tie into the line that you skipped and you didn't over here, not worrying about player deaths. So yes, you can just run things over as meat bags. Okay. All right. Next one that I have here is addition changes does not interrupt a session. Okay. So, and this kind of ties in with a bunch of different points I was thinking about. And this way you can actually play kind of what you want, okay, without addition changes. Like, for example, switching from 3.5 to 4th edition. That was a big change for us in the campaign because I did base my world out of Forgotten Realms. If we're just doing one-offs, we don't even have to really worry about that, okay, because then you're not worried about timelines or anything else. So that's kind of where I got that line and that bullet point right there from.
So if I remember correctly, 4th edition was where like the spell plague happened, right?
That is correct for 4th edition.
And yeah,
I'm sorry,
and
for
so
Forgotten Realms. I meant for Forgotten Realms, yes.
Yeah, for Forgotten Realms. And so you're playing in Forgotten Realms, and so that actually affected you.
Yeah, yes, because with our campaign, it kind of changed a couple things around with what we were actually doing. And I mean, it's not a thing, but I'll read back here. We actually did a campaign which we crest to Crescent, and this is actually my scratch notebook that I have on that. And this actually dealt with the death of Mistra. And we used that avatar, her and her dead body and corpse. It was basically her hand, which we built a campaign world off of. And then that was actually due about the spell plague and the gods changing hands and everything. So yeah, it kind of changed our whole campaign around. I mean, I used it and everything like that because we did upgrade to the 4th edition. But yeah.
And that's not to say that you have to change, you know?
No. You don't have to change.
It's your game.
Yeah.
You do what you want.
You don't have to change, but with everything being written, with all of the additional modules, books about the world, about Forgotten Realms and everything like that, that all took place after the spell plague and what that actually caused. So if you wanted to incorporate that kind of information, then yeah, you kind of had to actually upgrade to that.
Yeah.
So
hey, but that's cool.
Yeah. So, and I guess the other thing we have with one-offs and put on here is players can be off the wall. I think this is built off of some of our other thing here, trying out new classes, but hell, you could just have fun with whatever you want. So I personally think that is great.
I have a rule when I DM, which is generally we can have fun above the table, we can laugh and joke and but everything inside the game we take seriously, you know?
Yeah.
Because the players, this might be a joke for the players, but the characters, they're going to play it straight because it's their world. This is their life, you know?
Right.
And so I don't like it when campaigns get off the rails and crazy because of a joke or whatnot. Because, because there's a sky ship, you are on a sky ship and you're on a sky ship, it is falling, it is crashing, and your idea is to go rummaging through sock drawers to try to find things. Like, that's not realistic. That's not reasonable. No. And that's an actual thing from my game, and it can be very frustrating when you're trying to set the stakes and you have somebody who's doing that. And I have better tools to deal with things like that now. Mm-hmm. But when you're a newer DM and you're trying to rein things in, it's hard to just say it's hard to have that conversation of just, hey, this is what I want out of this game.
Yeah, because that is very distracting in a campaign, and not knowing how to actually deal with that is one thing. And the reason some players do that is because at that particular point they don't feel like they're involved in the game for some reason, or they actually want to be the center of attention, so they'll go and do something stupid to throw off the game to be that center of attention, which doesn't really help at all. And being able to take care of that and learn how to deal with that as the DM, that's just kind of a growth in kind of dealing with that.
Absolutely. But
Yes.
To bring it back in, we can in a one shot. You can be goofy, you can be wild, you can do whatever because it doesn't matter. There's no stakes, and so it can be a fun, goofy, fun time.
Yeah, because the DM can throw in stupid shit, players can throw in stupid shit, and you're just here to have fun, okay? But I do agree with you with a longer campaign, trying to take it more seriously. You can interject,
and that can be a later episode idea.
That is and stuff like that. But I just want to make one thing, because you can insert humor and especially ongoing gags without having derailing the whole game. And give you an example. And we're going to go back to Avatar: The Last Airbender. What was in every town that they all visited?
My cabbages!
Yes! See? That's an ongoing joke. And see, you know exactly what I'm talking about. So that is perfect. You got your cabbage vendor. I
want you to know that I knew what he was talking about, because every single time he brings up Avatar: The Last Airbender, he always brings up the Cabbage Man.
It was a great character. Alright.
The wavelength. We're on the same wavelength.
Now, the last bullet point I have for solos and one-offs is you can have fun with items that are holiday themed.
Insert sleigh bells here.
Yes. We did, I don't know, our campaign. We kept it inside the... What?
You start talking about holidays. Mariah Carey and Michael Bublé are going to start thawing.
Oh well. That is just the price we'll have to pay. But even one-offs in your actual campaign, but even in your campaign, you can have holiday one-offs, because we did a horror-themed one, which I know I've explained to you, not to everybody else, where they were being chased by vampires, undead. They got trapped into a house. They had pieces of bodies thrown in at them. Just being hunted and everything. It was just a very dark session. We also did a Christmas session. Didn't include Santa, but included a bunch of little elves. Okay, and I'm not 100% sure. I cannot 100% remember on that, because when I typed this in here, my first thought is we had a Thanksgiving gobbler creature episode, but I couldn't locate that in any of my notes. It's just in my head, and so I don't know if it actually happened. But yeah, you can have like a psychotic freaking turkey going after everybody, just having fun with the holidays and everything that way. And it really doesn't break the campaign, but it kind of changes up just the pace just a little bit. So
absolutely.
Okay.
And holiday thing, it's same thing of just switching things up, and it's just giving a theme to that, which can be very helpful, very useful in trying to come up with ideas. Another thing before we move on to the next half of this is, if you want a good representation of how to do a one shot and everything, the thing is it doesn't have, it's called a one shot. It doesn't have to be one session though.
Yeah, exactly.
That's the trap that a lot of people get into, I myself included. I don't do a lot of one shots because I had that idea when I first started out, and so I got caught in that trap. But you can do a couple sessions. The average campaign length is 6 sessions.
What?
Anything less than that, yeah. Literally just because
I have not heard of that stat.
It's because most of them fall apart very early.
Okay.
So you have the really long ones, which lengthen it, but a lot of them will end at the third or fourth session because of scheduling and adulting, as the kids say.
Okay.
So that's the stat. There you go. There's your math for this episode.
Okay.
There we But if you want a very good example of how to do this and how to do it well, look up the One Shot RPG podcast, they just go through a different system, a different setting, and they showcase a bunch of indie RPGs as well, and their creators are usually on the episode at the same time. So it is a great resource if you're ever looking for like, oh, how should I pace this? What am I doing? Very good. Very good.
Yeah, which I've started listening to that too a few weeks back and everything, so it's a really nice resource. Plug in other people's shows instead of just ours, but that's beside the point.
Well, if you're here, you're already listening to our show, so we can send you other places.
Yeah,
so,
I mean, it's a nice community we want to share with the stuff that we actually enjoy too, not just, we're just going to hoard everything. No, I mean, there's great resources out there, different personalities, so yeah, I mean, everybody...
The only thing we don't share are our dice.
Absolutely. That is death. Okay, so well, at this particular point, before we start into our next section when we talk about campaigns, let's go ahead and take our first intermission.
Hi guys, if you want to take a break from role-playing and watch someone burn their face off while eating hot peppers, head on over to YouTube at 13 Peppers and like and subscribe. And if you want to grow these peppers yourself, you can actually purchase these seeds at 13peppersbyralph.com. With that, have a good day.
We are back. So now...
Wahoo!
All right. Now we're actually going to talk about our second session, which is campaigns. So, and bullet points that we have on that. Okay. First one that I thought of when I started typing out this section is... What's the good thing about a campaigns? Time to let the characters and players grow.
Absolutely.
Okay. Because honestly, if you start out first level, you only go to third, you don't really give them a lot of time to interact, build themselves, build their own character personality. Absolutely. And everything.
You also should never start at level 1. So there's that too.
Nah, it all depends. I mean, it really depends.
If you're playing, all right, here's Connor rant time. All right, if you are playing Dungeons and Dragons, specifically 5th edition, look at me. All right, do not start your players out at level 1. It is not fun. Level 3 is where you should start.
Okay.
Okay.
Oh no! You got to actually make a reason why.
In Dungeons and Dragons 5th edition, most classes don't get their things until level 3, which means that, you have some classes where you get your options at level 1 and some classes where you get your options at level 2, but most classes get your options at level 3, which means that for a majority of classes, if you are playing at level 1, you are not only weaker, you are not only have less skills, you are not only less likely to hit your enemies, you are more likely to be hit, and you don't have any of your fun abilities that make you who you are and like your character, who they are as a character. And the entire point of Dungeons and Dragons is to be a monster fight, like you're fighting monsters and you're an epic hero. You're not an epic hero if you're level 1.
Okay. Well, here I'm going to do, and I'm just going to argue a point just for argument's sake, because I'm still learning 5th edition, because I stopped at 4 and was out of it for a little bit. Okay. Yep. Why would you not actually use those first couple levels for character building? Because you don't have to have interactions and encounters, especially like fighting. They can be more of a role-playing, building experience and everything up that way. Training, trying to actually make themselves better. Because even, I'm going to believe, and you tell me if I'm wrong, first level warrior in 5th edition is still better than a level 0 NPC.
Well, yes, of course. But
so they're already better than the majority of the people out there.
Sure. But if we're going off that logic, right, and you're talking about not fighting for the first couple levels or having more...
You can add in different things like that. You still have to have some kind of encounter.
What I'm saying is if you're trying to keep them from those monsters, like the entire point... So the thing is that for 5th edition Dungeons and Dragons, it is a game where you are playing epic heroes fighting monsters. You are dungeon delving to fight monsters, to get the treasure, to get better gear, to go into the dungeons. Like that is your gameplay loop. That is the gameplay loop that is made in the game. Right?
Okay.
In game, that is as intended. That is what you are doing. If you are going to have a game that is bad at that, right? Which I would say the first couple levels are pretty bad at that. If you want that challenge and, if you want to play that, but and of course this is, all what you want to do with your game. This is your game at the end of the day. This is up to you. This is, just some schmuck on the internet's opinion. But if you, at the end of the day, if you are trying to get that fantasy of being a hero and saving the day, you are more than likely not going to get that as a first level hero. If you're a first level wizard and, what do you have? You don't have anything.
First level wizard's the hardest character to play anyway. I've always thought that. So
exactly.
But also when you get to the higher levels, it is one of the most powerful characters.
Absolutely, 100%.
So,
but if you and your table want to do that and want to go through those first couple levels of struggle, that is absolutely a thing that you can do and absolutely a valid way to play. But me personally, for the fantasy and for that fantasy that Dungeons and Dragons is trying to sell to the players, and what the players have in mind when they go in to sit down at the table and play Dungeons and Dragons, to fight monsters, to kill the bad guys, you're gonna get that at starting at third level.
Okay.
And and you can always, and from there you still build up. You get to You get up and you can, kill gods. But, when you're level 1, literally a goblin can kill you in one hit.
Yeah,
So-
that's actually true and stuff like that. But I think it's also DM style. It doesn't bother me to start everybody out a little bit lower level. Reason being is those first couple levels you can get past them really quick. A lot of real simple things you can do game wise. Yeah, go ahead and finish.
If your selling point to the lower levels is that you can get through them quick, that's not a selling point.
No, but no, you're fine. But what it really determines is the players. What is the player background? Is the player giving me a background where they're already third level, or they give me a background like they are harding this up, they're trying out, they actually want to make themselves better. It really determines at that particular point. Yeah. And I've always let the characters really decide what they want in the backgrounds. They get them together outside the game, how they actually want to meet. They don't talk about their backgrounds, but they talk about how they actually want to meet. And then they introduce themselves at that meeting and then in game. And then that's when they find out their backgrounds. And we kind of actually go from there, but mostly they decide on what we wanted to start out character-wise before that, because then that actually shapes on how I want to have the game and everything played. So...
Absolutely, and I absolutely understand. And again, it's
wow,
up to
your
style.
Camera froze. That's interesting.
Yeah, it's
because you're typing.
We are literally. Maybe. I don't know.
Okay, well, we're gonna pause here until we fix that.
Oh, it's actually frozen.
Yeah. Okay. Now you're back. Yeah. Okay. No. I didn't say you were frozen for just the health of it, but yeah.
Well, I didn't know if I was like skipping or something.
No. You were absolutely frozen.
Because there was a second.
That makes for great video.
100%.
Okay.
Content.
Yes. Okay.
Everything's a content farm if you have a good enough plow.
That absolutely true. Okay. But yeah, I mean, it really depends on your game. Okay. Yeah. That threw me off my thought process. Thank you very much. I appreciate it.
You gotta throw them off their rhythm.
All right.
You want the money? Go get it.
Yes. Okay. So, yeah, it depends on how you want to grow, because there's good, bad aspects, the whole different things like that. And it also depends on how you want, or how the players want to be played. So, and there's so many different players out there on how they want to start things, how they want to grow things. That there's no set way of actually doing it. It's just basically going to be the preference of the table at the time. So, and I'm of the mindset as a DM, I'm not all powerful God controlling everything. Players actually have most of the control. I kind of shape the world around them to make their game fun, because me creating the game and filling out the world and having them be excited to be in it is kind of what I enjoy. So
absolutely, 100%. When I'm DMing, I prefer like my point of view camera not to be a top down perspective, but a bottom up. I want to be at the same level as the characters, like looking at everything and like seeing and like that, just a perspective thing. Let's move on to the next point.
Okay. Players can shape world around them in a homebrew.
Just like you were saying about getting invested in the world and getting into that. And there's no better way to get a player invested in the world than by having them help flesh it out.
Exactly.
Because they feel that it's their world too.
Right. Because when you're building and stuff like that, because I mean, I'll go back to the reference of when we were talking about the Mystara, because we kind of played off plane, even though we were dealing with Forgotten Realms Basic, we're still playing off plane. And with that, on there, when they're playing, I kind of was able to build that and everything around them for what they're doing, way they're building it in the campaigns. And I think the same thing with the homebrew and the campaign world. We're going to be hinting at this for a couple different episodes now. Our home campaign world that we are planning on playing in and we're building here currently, being able to have the players shape that as they actually grow, as they expand, as they explore, and build in everything that we like as Dungeons Masters, plus including what the players like and growing that around. And I think that way you have your players which are invested. That actually helps a campaign, like you said, it only lasts for like 6 sessions. This helps extend, it helps extend that out greatly, because they want to come in, they want to build it, they want to grow as a character, they want to grow the world, and they can actually feel and see the world be shaped around them, which is very, very cool.
Bingo. You got it.
Yep. Okay.
All right.
Now,
this is a much better change of pace than the last one where we were just arguing.
It's all good. Okay. Now what we just said goes back down to our next bullet point that we put in here. When characters shape the world around them, they actually like making a true impact in a world like a homebrew instead of a predetermined world like the Forgotten Realms. Okay?
Absolutely.
Because like 100%. I said, even when we were talking about one-offs, if you're using a lot of Forgotten Realms history and you switch from 3.5 to 4, you got the spell plague. And that changed so much of the world. And if you're using the lore and you're staying in the timeline, unless you're just playing like old school, hundreds of years before or whatever like that, all the new supplements, all the new adventure books, everything that comes out for 4th edition, Forgotten Realms, is going to have involvement in that spell plague and ramifications from it. And when you have a world like that control what your players do, that gives your players less ability to make an impact of the world, because you have an outside source changing everything.
Exactly.
Without them actually approving that or wanting that. So that kind of building and everything that way, which is great. Now, on a predetermined world like Forgotten Realms, I played in that a lot because I like the history, I like the lore, I liked a whole bunch of that things. 3.5 to 4th edition did change up a bunch, but having all that history, and besides that, me, a couple other people in the group, we were reading all the freaking novels and everything would come out. Okay, so you get to experience the characters, the places, what's going on, and then when you come back with your players and go into similar areas, places, worlds, stuff like that, it actually makes them feel familiar as a player, and it's also a little bit easier as a dungeon master, so you're not doing as much world building.
Absolutely.
So you got a big weight of good and bad on both of those.
To bounce off of that, I'm actually setting up a Star Wars RPG campaign. And my philosophy is it gives me a good setting and it gives me a good idea of what to do. Everything else will be homebrewed. We stay away from canon, away from known things. You will not have any characters show up. Or anything like that, because that's just not, I don't want to touch canon. And if we have our own basically separate pocket dimension where everything's going on, our little microcosm of the universe,
right,
we can have more personal stakes, right? I'm pulling from all the players' backgrounds, and I'm going to be filling out the campaign with stuff like that, and filling out things that are very personal to that character. And everybody's going to have their own little journey to go on within that. And within the little world and the little microcosm we create, there will be stakes and there will be stuff. But on the wider world just gives us a setting for those personal stories to happen.
Yeah.
And so I like doing that within an established canon and stuff like that, which is to not fuck with canon. If you don't play with your toys, you can't mess them up.
Yeah, but that's no fun. I want to play with the toys. Yeah. So
I want to be Anakin Skywalker.
Oh. Okay. Our next point here kind of overlaps what we just actually talked about. Addition changes do not affect like a homebrew world as much as a static world, which like the Forgotten Realms. So we kind of really talked about that point and everything like that too.
Yep.
Okay. Next point that I actually put in here, and we've also touched on this one too, is less work for the DM to build backgrounds using an existing world.
Yep.
So in a campaign, an existing world, that's great. You have all that knowledge, all that supplements and everything like that, because I got 2nd edition Forgotten Realms, 3rd edition 3.5, 4th edition Forgotten Realms. I have books upon books on Forgotten Realms, and but that's a lot of information to play for a game.
Absolutely. You have to have a college degree to just play in this world and be a part of it and understand what's going on, which is something you don't get with a homebrew. In a homebrew, you can just create it as you go along, which can be fun in itself.
Yeah.
What the Star Wars? If I was not playing with a bunch of Star Wars nerds or people who know things about Star Wars, Dad, you are the one that is the least knowledgeable about Star Wars in the entire group.
Yes, I do not have my proper Star Wars nerd card.
But you know about it, and you know the rules, and you know what's going on.
Oh yeah,
right?
yeah.
So that's the important thing. But somebody who doesn't know anything about D&D, doesn't know anything about Forgotten Realms, if you put them in this campaign, they're not going to know what's going on.
Mm-hmm.
They won't know anything. So. And that creates a problem, which is when you have that high barrier to entry that needs to be overcome just to play a game like that. Whereas for homebrew, you're all learning together,
Yeah, which is true. And that also depends on the group and what they want to do and your actual group's knowledge. And all groups are be different.
Everything is up to the table. Every table is different.
Right.
Every player is different. Every DM is different depending on the table. Every player is different depending on what table they're on, and it's all it's all about who you're around. So.
Now, the only thing that's really good about the static worlds, that's really thing is if your players have read a book and they want to experience it, and this will go back to the one-offs. You can just do a couple sessions just in that world, just with a few characters where they can get involved with the main people from the book and main people in that area, interact with the specific city. Like, for example, in the computer game that you guys are playing right now, the Baldur's Gate 3, okay? Going back, and you probably don't have people that are actually playing tabletop going, ooh, I actually want to go to Baldur's Gate. I never had any need to go there before, but now I want to go back and I want to experience it. That gives them kind of options.
In Baldur's Gate, this inn is actually not across from this this place. Your geography's all wrong.
And there we go. Is our you get your really rule specific nerds in that one. Yeah. Okay.
Your Redditors.
Yeah. But it's I mean, it's all good. I mean, it really depends on the table what the good, bad, and everything else is. And then our last point that I have in here is players can experience the world they have read about, which we've already talked about too, playing in the world before, like the Forgotten Realms. I mean, that's kind of what my specialty and everything was. Okay. So what I want to do, and I think I'll probably go back and forth with you, is go over a little bit of personal preferences between one-offs and solo. One-off, solo, and campaign. And my honest opinion on what I actually run and like running are campaigns where characters can grow. And those can actually be in a static world, in your homebrew world, in a combination of those two, which that's kind of what I did in my last one. You had the basis in the Forgotten Realms, but we kind of were off plane for the entire game. So we kind of had a little bit of both. But also in that campaign, when the campaign started dragging or anything else like that, we decided to go ahead, because I did run a Ravenloft episode for a couple sessions. We did, like I said, we talked about our holiday theme one-offs inside the actual campaign itself. And I've also taken older modules, pieces out of them, and actually added those into the Forgotten Realms that might not be named the same, called the same, but I was able to go ahead and add those pieces inside of our campaign. So you do have the feel of the one-offs and the things that you like from some of those campaign books and old modules and everything like that, without stopping the game, making new characters, just doing a one-off, then going back to the campaign. You kind of combine everything together, and that's honestly what my preference is.
My preference is I am huge about campaigns just all the way. I love a good story, and I have had two characters where in the campaigns, the choices that happen and the certain choices that are made in those games, players literally cry because they're invested. And that's what I love about this hobby, and I love about these games and stuff, is that investment that you get out of it, and you cannot get that from a one shot. But you have to be able to build on that, and you have to be able to if you want to move systems, if you want to move games, you have to be able to have that flexibility, and you can't do that without playing them, and you can't play them by you can't really, it's very hard to just pivot and try and go a long running campaign and just we're going to a different system now, we're gonna go this way and now this way. You have to redo everything, and it's great for trying out mechanics, playing different ideas. I would absolutely love to run a horror session, but I don't believe that I can properly run a horror campaign because without the threat, because I would want to do like a creature, like I have the Alien RPG, and I would love to run a horror RPG with that, and be hunted by the alien and by the xenomorph. And you can't do that really in a campaign without it becoming, instead of alien, it turns into aliens, right? So it's a big tone shift, because then instead of focusing on the monster, you are focusing on the players, right? But if you want to sell that, the point is if you want to sell the monster, it's gotta kill. And that can only really be done if the consequences, you're done, and you're dead. that's a great consequence.
I think too, but I also think, and I know I talked with you before, and even mentioned it here, that horror Halloween episode that we did where we set the house on fire, the players inside, stuff like that.
Yeah.
I didn't actually go into the campaign placing this horror, but playing with the players as much as I did, they were actually very, very well knowledgeable that if they made bad decisions, it could actually get their characters killed.
Yeah,
and that was kind of determined.
I think you did something excellent in that, and I wanted to say that on air because you had, if I remember correctly, you had a character in there that went, "Oh, fuck this, I'm gonna go outside." Right. And it was an NPC that went outside, and they walked out into the mist or whatever. And then next thing you know, their bodiless head came crashing into the window.
Right. Yeah, I had the main
I think
guide through. Yeah,
that's a great setting of stakes where you have NPCs that are inside where maybe your characters aren't in fear of dying, but these NPCs that they want to control, that they want to take care of,
right?
They are in trouble.
Yes. Mm-hmm. So it was just kind of a whole building and everything like that. So, I mean, it was really fun, really excited. I know my players during that session were very happy with the outcome and everything, but we didn't go into it as a horror campaign. It was kind of set up that they realized just from playing together so long, if they made bad decisions, they would actually pay for the bad decisions, and they were quite aware of that. So without saying this is a horror session, it became a horror session with the outside and environmental things coming into it, made it into a horror session, and that made it really easy. So when we got out of that and that was over, we were able to continue on the campaign and feel like this was a nice little one-off and everything like that, and be able to hit the theme for the evening that we did. So it was very nice. But yeah, that was pretty much it.
Yeah.
I don't know what else to be talking about with the campaigns and one-offs. So I kind of like a combination of both, so which is really nice. Yeah.
I mean, they both have their ups and downs.
Yes.
So. Mm-hmm. Okay. And if you use both of them, they are both tools in your toolbox to help you with certain things and to make your own fun out of it. So they're both useful, and you should do both.
Yes, exactly. So, okay. I think that is about it for us tonight. Cool.
Yay.
So what we'll do is we'll leave links in the notes and everything, or where you can actually contact us. If you have any questions or comments or anything like that, go ahead and leave us a comment on our email, which is nerdandson@gmail.com. We'll add links here to the other social sites that we could actually find us on here. I know we're going to be doing this as an audio podcast, plus we'll actually be doing this on YouTube also. Is there any other place that they can actually contact you, Mr. Connor? Or not yet? You're getting there.
Not yet.
Well,
not yet.
All right. Also, if you want to follow me in different places, I actually have another YouTube channel called 13 Peppers. It is another business that I run where I taste hot peppers, everything from the nice sweet bell peppers all the way up to the chocolate primatoli, way past heat level on the Reaper. I sell seeds, everything else like that. So you can actually follow me at 13 Peppers by Ralph. But the best place for this podcast, I'll mention it again, go ahead and just leave us a message in our email or a comment in below on the YouTube channel, and we'll be there and we will answer you guys whatever you have. So, but with that,
unless it's mean,
I'll still answer them. Why not? It doesn't bother me anymore.
Don't leave mean comments. I'll cry.
Oh, don't make my son cry.
Exactly.
Okay. All right. But with that,
don't talk to me or my son ever again.
Okay. Well, with that, I am Nerd Ralph.
And I am Son, Connor.
And you all have yourself a wonderful, wonderful evening.
Yeah, what he said.
Nerd and Son.